Hello everybody, Mr. Pilgrim here coming at you with a brand new Platinum Trophy guide, and that is going to be for Dark Souls Remastered. Now I've discovered some new information, so I figured I'd update the guide, take down the old one, and add a couple things onto the new one. Now, officially before the guide starts, I will say that there are use of glitches, mainly just duplicating souls and or humanity to make getting the Platinum Trophy easier. Now, if you think that this is something you don't want to do and you want to legitimately get the Platinum Trophy, you can still follow this guide as it will show you where and what to grab and everything like that, as well as some NPC quest lines that you can do along the way. But if, like I said, if you don't want to do that, that's perfectly fine. This guide will still work for you. And basically, just gonna start right into it. I always have my brightness at full, just because. But anyways, we're just going to hop right into character creation. Now, depending on things, you can pick whatever class you feel comfortable with if you have experience with the game. However, I'm going to go for the Thief because he starts with the Master Key. This basically will save us a gift slot of having to grab the Master Key. Now from here it can be whatever you want, but I always opt to get the Black Firebomb. Now I'm pretty average for my character creation, as you can tell. Nothing too crazy, of course. And like I said, we're just going to jump right into it, so I'm going to skip the main intro cutscene. Alright, so starting out here, make sure you don't accidentally use your fire bombs, but we will actually go and take off our weapon here. So starting here in the undead asylum, there's at least 3 trophies that you'll earn by the time that you are done here. Most of these are pretty common and aren't skippable in a sense. But following this path will lead you to the first trophy that you can grab, and that is for linking your first bonfire. Like I said, pretty easy one. Now from here, we're actually going to immediately use the black fire bombs that we've obtained to quickly defeat the first boss of the game. So if you come to about right here where the message is, you can actually use the black fire bombs, as you'll see, to deal damage. Depending on things, you can actually bait the asylum demon. And as you'll see, it shouldn't take you more than 4, or actually 5 uses of the black fire bombs. And upon defeating him the first time without actually running to this side area, you will get his great hammer. It's something that we can use later on. But from here, we're going to come off to this side area, grab our shield, and then from here we can actually run up and grab our actual weapon that we're supposed to start with, the bandit's knife. Normally you're supposed to come through and do all this and get your weapon like so, but we're just going to completely skip that and move on. From here, we're basically going to grab the key to escape, so you'll have to run up the stairs and hold this wall, hug it, and then you'll be able to use that boulder to break the wall, and you'll find Oscar of Astora. You basically just want to say yes. He'll give you the Estus Flask and 2 keys. Now, upon getting the Estus Flask, you will get your next trophy, and then as you're leaving, you can come down the stairs and open up this gate to end up right back where we just were. And then from here we can actually leave Firelink Shrine. Or, not Firelink Shrine, the Undead Asylum. Like I said, though, there's a couple things that I have found and discovered, and I'm going to update overall for the guide to help you out, hopefully making things a little bit easier for you guys to complete. But upon coming to the edge of the cliff, there'll be a cutscene. I'll skip it, of course, in case you want to watch it. But now you'll be here at Firelink Shrine. Upon reaching here, you will also get your next trophy. Now, while we're here in Firelink Shrine, we can grab a couple of things. We can grab some humanity. Coming up here, we can talk to Petrus. And talking to him 3 times, as you'll see, he'll give you a copper coin, and then the next time you talk to him, you'll want to say yes, and then yes again, and this will get you your next trophy for joining the Way of White Covenant. Pretty easy, as you can see, but from here we're actually going to come up these stairs, turn around, and grab these souls right here. From here we're actually just going to hop down the back of the elevator that you can access later on to grab some items here. Basically all I'm doing right now is just grabbing stuff that can be used to make your life easier and give you some more options to start off with. We're not going to be using the cracked red eye orbs because I highly recommend doing this offline just so you don't have other people invading you and kind of making your life a little bit harder. So from here we're actually going to enter into the cemetery here. Now if you hug this back area you can get the winged spear while that guy is configuring himself, and if you come down here you can get the Zweihander. Now from here we're actually going to backtrack and run back up to Firelink. Don't worry about the skeletons, they are not an issue. From here though, you're basically just going to follow this path to get right back to the bonfire and grab another soul. Hidden right here. So once you can, while you're waiting for the bonfire to come back, I highly recommend equipping the Homeward Bone. Trust me, it'll make sense. When you can rest, or if you haven't taken any damage from here, we can head down. Normally this isn't how you're supposed to progress through the game, you're supposed to head up to the Undead Burg, but we're kind of going to break that just so we can get some more weapons and items along the way, as well as being able to show you guys the duplication glitch that I mentioned. Now like I said, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. It will make getting the Platinum Trophy a lot harder. I do highly recommend that if you do use glitches and things like that, that you don't go online, as it kind of ruins the experience, at least I think. Now if you're just trying to reach a certain level and trying to do builds, then that is a little different. But once again, I think it's very hit or miss on how you might view that. Simply, I just use this save to get the Platinum Trophy, and then if you want to start a actual brand new save for legitimate online play, then that would probably be best. But coming down here, we're going to use the master key to come out to the area here that we're at. You're going to find this sleeping undead dragon. Don't worry, he's not that frightening. If you come over here to his left hand, you'll get another soul. If you position yourself just right, you can grab the sword, and you can end up dying. Now, trust me, it's not that bad. We're going to come back and grab our souls because we're actually going to need them. Alright, so if you guys are having trouble getting your souls back, the best thing that you can actually do is bait out his breath attack like so, and then you can kind of stand right in front of him, and then he'll do a head attack. And then from there, you're basically just going to want to run as fast as you can. So from here, we're going to head back the way we came and actually head through the back way into Blighttown. Normally this is supposed to be the exit, but because of mapping and layouts, it's also an entrance. Now when it comes to Blighttown, we're not going to access it just yet. We're just going to run through to grab a couple of things along the way. But when it does come to it, it's actually going to be quite short, as you'll see. But while we are here on our first visit, we can grab a couple of items. But like I said, I'm just going to wait until we're actually here for the full checklist of things. So you're basically just going to head down and just keep heading down. Then from here you'll get on and take the elevator down. Now do note that this first video is more or less just going to be about setting up and getting started for the game. Like I said, we're just mainly getting a couple of trophies that we can grab while we can, and getting some items and things like that, as well as showing you guys how to do the duplication glitch. Now, like I've said a couple of times now, you don't have to do the glitch, but it will make some things a little bit slower for you. But don't worry, I will still show you guys how to get everything, as well as where you guys can farm souls and things of that nature. So don't worry. But from here we're going to go and grab that soul, and then we're actually going to head this way to the Great Hollow. Now when it comes to going through the swamp, it's best just to simply roll instead of trying to run through it. Trust me, it makes life a little bit easier. So from here in the Great Hollow, you're going to want to hit and open up this secret wall. Here you can find some twin humanities in a chest, and just behind it is another secret wall. Now we're finally in the Great Hollow. Depending on things you can drop down, you'll still be fine. Just be wary of the poison damage. So coming right here, basically what you're going to do, make sure you're at full health or close to it. And when you land, try and roll forward just to make yourself take less fall damage. Here you can grab the Chloranthy ring. This will give you a stamina regen increase, which is pretty nice. Now when going through this area, do be careful, as you can still die to some of these enemies, and it would suck having to do this run all the way back down. I'll try to get the crystal lizard, but I missed. That's perfectly fine. Now at this point, it's best to make sure that you have your shield out and ready to block any possible damage that you might take. Trust me, it'll make sense in a minute. But just making sure that you are ready to do that is always key. So from here, you're just going to follow this path off to the left to find the next ladder you can take down. As you'll see, you'll find this corpse with another soul on it, which will show you the path down. Now we're getting almost to the part, like I said, where you're going to want to make sure you have your shield out. And the reason is that these mushroom enemies down here, not the big ones, but the little ones, if they happen to fall forward and hit you, they can actually one-shot you at this level, even in full armor. As you'll see right here, these little guys, just like that, when they fall forward, they can actually kill you. Luckily, we are almost, as you can see, just them barely hitting us with our shield took a decent chunk. But we're almost out of poison. There we go. Now from here, just gonna follow this path and run all the way through, and you'll reach the white light, or fog as some call it, and here you'll be at Ash Lake, one of the lowest areas in the game. Now while we're here, we're just going to grab a couple of items, and then we're going to use that homeward bone to go all the way back to Firelink Shrine. So from here, you're just going to want to make a mad dash to this log. Now depending on how you have your menu set up, depends on how you jump. For me, I have it to where when I run, all I have to do is tap the run button again, and I'll quickly do a jump. You can always change this to whatever you are more comfortable to. Make sure the Hydra isn't firing his water jets at you before you make this dash. But from here we're actually going to reach a certain point and then we're going to quit out of the game. Now coming over here, as you'll see, the Hydra has jumped over to this side of the lake. What you can do is about right here, you can quit out and reload and the Hydra will be back to where he initially was. I highly recommend doing this because then you don't actually have to deal with the Hydra. It'll save a lot of time. So when you load back in, as you'll see in just a moment, we'll be back here and he'll be back over there. So from here we're actually going to head into this tree just to our left and grab an item real quick. We're not fully done here just yet, so just bear with me for a moment. So if you come about right here, right between these two little tree trunks, you can fall down. You can just edge yourself off and then you'll fall into this secret area here. And on this corpse you'll find the Great Magic Barrier item. From here you're basically just going to want to leave the giant tree and be on our way. As you'll see, we're making some pretty good progress. Now all you have to do is simply just run down this area and we will almost be done in Ash Lake. Now you can revisit this area later during an NPC questline to get a Titanite slab, but that will become more in regards to weapon upgrading and things like that for trophies. But for now we're just going to focus on what we can do here. I'm sure this is kind of boring, just watching me do all this running, but just bear with me for the time being. So here we will be at the next covenant that you can join, the Path of the Dragon. As you'll see right here, upon joining, you will get your next trophy, and this will be your first silver trophy of the game. Now from here, if you actually come right behind him, you're just going to want to start R2ing his tail until it breaks. Pretty straightforward. Having the Chloranthy ring means that the tail will break faster because we're regenerating stamina quicker. It's not much, but anything to save on time is always going to be important. Now, along this path, I highly stress that you do not rest at any bonfires, otherwise it makes the trip back a lot harder. Just doing all this in one run, I know seems like quite a lot, but once you get the hang of it, it'll make you more comfortable with traversing the world of Dark Souls. You won't feel as scared of going into areas with tougher enemies because you'll know how they work and you'll be more familiar with how the movement of the game is. But it's anywhere from 30 to 40 hits to break the tail with the weapon that we have. There we go. We get the Great Sword. Now from here you can just use the Homeward Bone. I don't know why I said that weird, and we'll be back at Firelink Shrine. Alright, so once you're here at Firelink Shrine, you can check and see what all items you have and what you can use. Like I said, pretty much we probably can't use most of it, but that's okay. So from here we're actually finally going to head into the Undead Burg, and I'm going to show you guys how to do the glitch. Pretty straightforward. Like I said, you don't want to spend any of your souls. Do note though that sometimes when you quit out, the game will automatically put you back into online mode, so if that's something that you don't want, you can always go and log back off. Or if you don't want to deal with online play for the moment, you can just stay in your human form. Now, as we're making our way up to the undead bird, we're going to grab some more souls, because honestly, this glitch basically reduces the amount of time needed to progress and do things in the game, and you'll quickly see why. Now, the first place that you can do this is Undeadburg at the merchant found here. Now, as you can see, overall, though, our progression through Undeadburg is pretty easy. As you can see, though, the bleed and everything that we are accumulating on enemies is going fairly easily. Now, coming into this fog here, coming over here behind the stairs, you can find another soul. Now, from here, if you actually want to grab a item, you can do a run and jump over, or so I thought. That's okay. But from here, you're basically going to want to come up. You'll have the dragon show up. What I highly recommend doing is coming up here, killing this archer. Like I said, don't touch any of the Gravelord servants. That will affect your game overall. Trust me, it's best not to do that. From here, though, you're going to want to light the bonfire. Then we're going to head back down over to this area off to our left. As you'll see, you'll have these two spear guys, and you can kind of get them to drop their guard down so you can backstab them, as you'll see. Pretty easy. From here, you'll come down these stairs here. Do be careful of this enemy off to your right, as he can get aggroed and then come and attack you while you're here at the vendor. Alright, so here at the Undead Merchant, I'm going to show you guys how to do the glitch. Now, there's one of two ways how to do this. I think it's just best to show you guys with the Merchant, because it doesn't require you to have any arrows on hand. So basically what you want to do is whatever souls you have that you want to duplicate, you're going to want to drop all that you have except for one. You just want to make sure you have one in your inventory, that way you don't get rid of all of them. So then you want to also make sure that they are right below the Estus flask in your inventory. So what you can do is you can change the order of them and then move it right below the Estus flask. So coming here to the Undead Merchant, what you want to do is go and try and purchase some arrows. Now, however many you can purchase is perfectly fine for right now. As you can see, we can buy 451 arrows. That's not bad. Basically, from here you're going to want to cancel, fully back out of the menu. Then from here you're going to want to come to your settings. And then what you're going to want to do is try and hit X and R1 or whatever it is that you use to accept or enter, and your tab button at the same time. Now, this can take a bit of trial and error, but once you do it just right, you'll get this menu right here. As you'll see, pretty straightforward, and it's, perfectly fine. As you'll see, you have both of your tabs open. As you'll see, you then want to scroll down, and you'll see in the back menu that you'll be hovering over the soul. You'll then want to hit OK. Then from here you want to go to quit game. And then from here, as you'll see, you can now use that soul 451 times. And as you'll see, we got 90,000 souls. That's quite a lot of souls, especially early on in the game. But from here, you can also use that on humanity. So basically what you want to do is do that, but the same thing, pretty much. And as you'll see, now that we have more souls, we can purchase 999 arrows. You basically need barely under 10,000 to do it, but once again, we'll do the same thing. I'll just show it off a couple of times. So one thing, go to your brightness and settings. Like I said, you're basically going to be trying to hit X and then R1, and then boom, just like that. Scroll down, go to quit game, use 99, which on Twin Humanities will max it out up in the top left, as you'll see. 99 soft humanity, pretty much full. Now, like I said before, you can do this however many times you want. Just make sure that you don't fully use all of the souls that you have. Once again, I'm going to do this a couple of times until I think I'm perfectly okay, and we can then move on from here to finish out the starting area of Dark Souls Remastered. Alright, so as you guys can see in the bottom right corner, I now have 1.4 million, almost 1.5 million souls. Pretty nice to have early on in the game. Now what we're actually going to do is we're going to buy a couple of things while we're here at the merchant. Now I like to get at least a scimitar, a hand axe, a club, 2 spears, and a short bow, as well as 2 east-west shields. Now we're pretty much going to be done with the merchant for right now, as we actually need his Uchi Katana. So we're just going to take him out. Now don't worry, there are going to be other merchants that sell arrows, and we will go and get them eventually as well. Now from here you can basically do whatever you want to do with the souls that you currently have whenever you level up. So as you'll see here, I'll try and go for getting some strength so I can actually use the greatsword that I have, and then I'll also get some faith, intelligence, some attunement is probably nice, a little bit of HP. I'll mainly try and get some decent endurance, as well as strength, dexterity. Want to make sure you also get some resistance as well. And then, like I said, whatever you feel comfortable with. I like to maybe try and get whatever I can all the way up. Maybe have some saved left over, that way you can also spend them. So now I'm going to go through and clear out some of the Undead Berg, except for one thing. I will equip the Dragon Crest Shield just because, and I will also teach you guys about parrying as well. So I'll be right back and show you guys exactly how to go through the Undead Berg and grab some more items. Alright, so from here you basically have your main path that we're taking right now through the Undead Berg. Now as you can see, most of the enemies went down fairly easily, because if you actually equip the Astora Straight Sword, which only requires 10 strength, 10 dex, and 14 faith, you pretty much one-shot most of the enemies, as well as having the stats that I do. 30 strength pretty much guarantees more damage. Now following this path up here, coming into this area here, which you can open, I believe, using the master key. In this chest right here, you can find some gold pine resin, which is very helpful against the next boss on any basic weapon. Now, coming down the stairs here, you'll find probably your first tough enemy of the game, a Black Knight. But don't worry, I'm going to teach you guys about parrying on this enemy and another enemy as well. So basically, whenever some enemies attack, they have a window, like so, where you can parry them. Now some enemies are very specific, but you basically want to do it right before their attack lands on you. Now if you want to, you can practice as much as you want, kind of get familiar with how they are going to attack. As you'll see, fairly easy, and then you right before they recover, you can attack them using R1. Pretty easy. But coming over here, you can grab a blue tearstone ring. Basically, if your HP gets to a certain threshold, your overall defense will massively get increased. It won't guarantee save you all the time, but it is a help. Coming up here, we'll have this guy who'll light and kick this barrel at us. we'll just take the hit because why not? As you can see, pretty much one-shot them. Now, quickly while we're here at the top of this little tower, if you run up here, you'll find a crystal lizard hidden in this box, which will give us some twinkling titanite. Now, before we go and fight the boss, I'm going to show you another enemy that you guys might want to practice parrying on, as it is a very key aspect of Dark Souls 1. Now, it's about the same on Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls Remastered, so if you're having trouble, it's going to be about the same if you want to practice. Now, if you come down the tower, you can find a very important enemy, and this is Havel. Havel looks pretty tough, right? Well, don't worry, he's not that tough. As you can see, you can parry him as well, even with that big weapon. Like I said, you're going to want to get more familiar with how to get the timing down. The window can be a bit favorable or give you some leniency on when to do it, as you'll see. As long as you do it right before the attack lands, within a certain window, you'll be perfectly fine and it'll count as a parry. Now I recommend this enemy because some of his attacks are much slower than the Black Knights. Even when he two-hands it, you can still parry him and you'll be just fine, as you'll see. But like I said, this is all about just getting practice and getting familiar with how to parry in Dark Souls 1. Because it's a key aspect and makes some trivial enemies much easier to deal with. As you'll see, just like that, fairly easy. Now, he'll drop a ring that we're actually going to always have equipped on us, and that is the Havel's ring. Basically, it drastically increases your equip load. It's the only item in the game that does it by that much. The only other item that does increase your equip load is the Ring of Favor and Protection, but that is more for other situations, and when you take that ring off, it does break, so it's very hit or miss on when you want to use it or if you want to wear it at all. But now from here, we're going to head on and take on the second boss of the game. Now, before we actually start the boss fight, if you turn around and climb up this ladder here, you'll find that there's these two archers waiting for you. As you'll see, they go down in one hit as well. Now you'll run to about right here, and then as you'll see, the demon will drop down. And then what you can do is you can actually climb back up this ladder here. Then what you'll do is you'll simply wait for him to get into a good spot, and then you can plunging attack him, as you'll see. And just like that, he'll have gone down without much of a fight. And this is with a unupgraded weapon as well. Do note you don't get a trophy for beating him or anything, but from here we can move on. Like I said, at this point you should be cruising through most of the early game area with the soul duplication glitch as well. Now, one thing I like to do when I first get onto this bridge is you'll come right about here where this bloodstain is, and then you'll immediately run around. As you'll see, you'll activate the dragon, who will burn the bridge. Now, coming down here, we'll meet our favorite NPC of the game, Solaire of Astora.
Oh, I have a... The way I please.
Basically, you'll just want to say yes to him twice, and then you can start doing his questline and summon him. Trust me, it's very important that you do this, as he will give you sunlight medals for every boss that he survives through all the way to the end. Now from here, we're going to make it to right here. Hopefully the dragon doesn't breathe any fire at us. Luckily we got lucky and he didn't do anything like that. So from here, we're going to actually head down And here you can actually kick the ladder, as you'll see, and you can now climb back down to the bonfire. Pretty easy. Alright, so before I end this video, I'm going to show you guys probably the earliest method that you can use to farm souls in the game. So after beating the Taurus demon and unlocking this shortcut back to this bonfire, what you can do is you can run up the area here, run out onto the bridge to get the dragon to breathe fire, and every single time that you do this, you'll get 555 souls, as you'll see right here. Then you can quickly try and drop back down to the bonfire, rinse, repeat, because the enemies respawn infinitely. Pretty easy, if I say. Not too hard, not too bad. But that is going to be where I'm going to stop this first video in our Platinum Trophy Guide for Dark Souls Remastered. Like I said, all the information is perfectly available for you guys to follow and use. However, if you don't like using duplication glitches or cheesing of any kind for the Platinum Trophy and you want to earn it legitimately, this guide will still help you out. This is more or less just about giving you guys information as well as other things like that. Hopefully I can get a second video out just as quickly or immediately after uploading this one, as to make sure that the start is as pleasant and as easy as possible for you guys to follow. That way you easily get through this game. But as always, this has been Mr. Pilgrim. I will see you all in the next video.